If you're a parent who's tried every possible way to help your child with their health issues, but nothing seems to offer that long-term solution and get the results that last, I'm glad you're watching this video. My name's Dr. Devin, and I'm a pediatric chiropractor at Rising Health Family Chiropractic. Now, watching your child suffer from inflammation, gut problems, sensory overload, mood swings, it's emotionally draining. It's so hard. I've got 4 kids at home, and I know whenever they're sick, I want to get to the root cause of it. But a lot of times parents were left to this, let's put all of these challenges together on our own, right? We go to the specialist, we go try this medication, we, try that one, but it seems like they're all just not working together. Well, this video, I've got some good news for you because the vagus nerve, it's actually an overlooked key player in putting everything together. The vagus nerve coordinates many of the processes and systems in the body that are linked to, mood dysfunction, sensory processing disorder, gut struggles, inflammation, all of those things. And in this video, we want to specifically address parents that are looking for the lasting improvements to really get to the root cause and go into that realm with a drug-free approach, because it's all linked together by the autonomic nervous system and the vagus nerve. Now, being in healthcare for a long time, I am absolutely obsessed with the stats. So according to the CDC, 1 in 36 children are now diagnosed with ASD, or autism spectrum disorder. Well, ADHD diagnosis recently just topped 1 million between 2016 and 2022. Now, these are crazy statistics, right? But they just highlight those life-altering conditions affecting a child's quality of life, right? It can be so tricky to find the root cause of these things. Now, genetics, lifestyle factors, they all play a role, but there's actually more clinical evidence recently that are pointing to that central nervous system, the operating portion of the body, specifically the vagus nerve, as a root cause agent behind this alarming trend. And that's really why I want to talk about today, and what I want to talk about, because it can be so powerful for your kids. I mentioned I have 4 kids, and very, often or not, it's hard to navigate that world of hyperactivity, high energy, and the vagus nerve has been key to us. So let's dive into the anatomy, the function of the vagus nerve. Now, the vagus nerve is an important communication pathway in the body. It connects the brain to the organs. So sometimes you might hear it referred to as the brain-gut connection, but it's also connected to hormones, how the heart works with the lungs, and really a lot of social emotional regulation centers as well. It's nicknamed the wandering nerve, and it's also, called the great protector. So it's an essential nerve that coordinates the activation of what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. Now the parasympathetic nervous system, it's responsible for that rest, regulate, and digest mode, initiating the body's healing resources. Now, the vagus nerve, it branches, from up top here in the brainstem on both sides of the upper neck, and it makes its way down through the neck, throughout the thoracics, down into the abdomen, where it actually branches out then quite a bit. And this is why a lot of times injury up top up here, whether it be the birth process or an accident, kids running around, jumping around, can actually influence inflammation in the gut and digestion because of that connection, because everything throughout the nervous system really works together. Now, the vagus nerve, when it becomes dysfunctional or broken down, it can have a significant impact on our kids' health. Now, this disrupts the brain communication from up here up top that regulates a lot of these key emotions into our gut. That's why a lot of times when we see, whenever they're emotionally stressed, when they're sensory stressed, when they're overwhelmed, what happens? Mom, I got a stomach ache. Mom, I don't feel hungry. Mom, I've got indigestion. It's all connected. Now, this can also show up early on in life too, with things like colic and constipation or eczema. Those other things we don't often associate with the vagus nerve oftentimes are connected. Additionally, the immune system is key to the vagus nerve, because when the vagus nerve is dysfunctional, it leaves the body in a pro-inflammatory state. Now, we also know that there's other connections between this, motor tone and endocrine function, and all of these different neurotransmitters that your child's fire every second, every minute to keep them calm. And the opposite of that, more wound up, misbehaving, more hyperactive. So the vagus nerve is so key to helping regulate just the overall rest and digest systems of the body. Now, one question I get so often from parents is what damages or disrupts that communication from the brain to the body? Why is it connected? And when it does get damaged, what does it disrupt? Now, stress hormones that just happen constantly, right from that social emotional tension from high stress. You'll see that where, kids' shoulders really get wound up. So it can be from stress, during pregnancy or delivery. If there is a difficult birth, trauma, difficult intervention, it can physically strain that delicate area of the brainstem, the neck region that houses the vagus nerve, along with the inflammation that comes after that. The vagus nerve is very sensitive to things like that physical stress or exposure, but it's also sensitive to antibiotics, toxic exposure, nutritional gaps that exhaust the nervous system's reserves. Basically, when the vagus nerve gets dysfunctional, it's from, overwhelm. It's from the brain and the body not being able to work through something, and then stress starts to compound. Now, symptoms that are seen that are pretty common with babies, you see a lot of colic, a lot of reflux, a lot of ear infections, because again, the vagus nerve is a high regulator of the inflammation in the system. The next question we often get is, how do you find really if the vagus nerve is dysfunctional? So a lot of times as parents, we look at the symptoms, and that's what tells us that something's wrong in a baby. It's colic, it's reflux, it's that constipation, it's eat, sleep, poop. It's the easy things, right? Well, what we actually do in our office, being a pediatric chiropractor, is we want to measure vagal tone. Now, we can actually do this in our office and create a targeted, personalized care plan to help support the vagus nerve. And we use technology in our office called heart rate variability, and it's nicknamed HRV. This is the coolest because it can help us find out whether or not your child's vagus nerve is really functioning properly. It is more on that, is it more on that rest and digest side, or is it on the gas pedal, stress side? And it's just making that vagus nerve and that vagal tone be more exhausted. That's leading into more chronic health challenges. So this HRV test, it can be run in as little as 3 minutes. It's super quick with kids. We'll use a little ear clip on their ear. For older kids, we can even do it on a hand scan. When we look at the results from the scan, we can help build up a neurological restoration care plan. This helps us determine the frequency they need, the adjustments they need to help stimulate and activate the vagus nerve and the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's what allows them to get more on that rest, relax, digest side of it. Now, we know that you've heard of many natural ways to stimulate the vagus nerve. There's deep breathing, there's meditation, go outside in nature, humming, tapping, all these different things, including diet and the gut and immune and inflammation. But nothing is as potent as direct repair and restoration of the vagus nerve, quite like a neurological focused chiropractic adjustment. We have seen it in our office. It is so cool to look at that first HRV, that heart rate variability scan, and see a nervous system that is really stuck on stress, really stressed out. We call it raging bull hyperactivity, really just can't slow down. And then to see that change happen after a period of time and frequency of adjustments, because there's a vast difference between a vagus nerve and a nervous system that is in healing mode and one that is in hyperactivity mode. And to really look at that deep-rooted vagal nerve dysfunction and care for these, chronic health challenges, we got to get to the root of it. Look at that vagus nerve, measure it, quantify it, care plan for it, and then help that vagus nerve get back online. Now, if you want to learn more about how this process works, how to get your child started with care right away, click the link in our bio. Visit our bio. We would love to help. The vagus nerve has been so key for my kids, for all the kids in our office, that we want to help you get to the root cause of your child's struggles and not just dance around the symptoms and specialists and medications, but get to the root cause and help them heal naturally. God bless.